Welcome back here to another stream. We are going to be giving you guys a bit of an update here, pretty late per se, or early, depends on which way you're looking at it. I got me a little bit of rest in, woke up, decided I'm going to do a bit of an update for you guys. Yeah, I told you guys we were going to do one right around 11 or so, but I just so happened to be a little bit late, so my apologies. But anyways, folks, well, we got an update here on the tropics for y'all. We're going to wait a second for people to start joining us. Yeah, this storm definitely is going to be a massive, massive issue for the Caribbean. There's, like we mentioned earlier, there's not a whole lot that's holding this system back from, really picking up some crazy strength. So I'm a little bit concerned about it. I'd lie if I said I wasn't. But I'm a little bit concerned about it because of what's basically, basically what's not holding it back. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of really warm waters out there. We have plentiful amount of moisture, as well as, literally everything's just in place here. So not much wind shear. Anyway, so let's actually hop you guys over here. I do want to take a look at the satellite view. Let's actually hop you guys over to that now. So here's current sat, as of this morning, as of right now. It's definitely still not the most pretty looking storm. It's very, very disorganized still here. You can see there's a lot of convection going on the eastern side. We do still have a little bit of upper level wind shear. Some of these winds are working their way over here to the east, from the west to the east in the upper levels, which is, preventing the storm from really kind of blowing up right now. But, we definitely do have a pretty good amount of convection going on right now. There's a lot of heavy thunderstorm activity going on with this system currently. So, but let's actually peek at the models here. We'll look at the hurricane models overall. So you can see we still have a lot of spread on these models here. Still a lot of disagreement in terms of where the system's going to end up here. But honestly, Jamaica, you guys are kind of in the middle of the models here. Really need Jamaica to start preparing for the storm. Would not be surprised if, we eventually get hurricane watches for Jamaica. Right now, there's still tropical storm watches. But would not be surprised here if eventually we do get upgraded to, a hurricane watch, in which we'll definitely be looking out here for. So let me actually bring up the watches here for you guys to kind of show y'all where everything's at. So we still do have hurricane watches in effect for southern Haiti, as you can see here in the pink, which, that equivalents to hurricane watch. So hurricane watches are in effect for southern Haiti. Jamaica, we do have tropical storm watches in effect, but like I mentioned, would not be surprised if that, possibly gets upgraded here in the future. What's up, Joe? Good to see ya. But anyways, that's that. Now, rainfall potential. This storm is going to have a big problem, likely with rain. There is still a lot of unknowns with exactly how much rain we're going to be dealing with here. But you can see like the southern Dominican Republic, southern Haiti, bits of eastern Jamaica, while it is in pretty low confidence right now, as you can see the little lower confidence marker here. The reason is because of just, how uncertain things are with the track, the strength and all that stuff right now. So that'll really play a role in terms of how much we get. But yeah, we are talking a pretty good amount of rainfall. The medium orange here that we have kind of suggests that we could be seeing maybe 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. Towards the core of the storm, you see this pink area here. That could be upwards of 20 to 30 inches of rain out there in the water, thankfully. But definitely is going to be sitting over an area for a pretty long period of time. It's not really moving that fast at all. It's almost stationary. And basically, it's just going to be kind of sitting there, just dumping a whole bunch of rain. Now, currently, the storm at the current moment is moving west at a whopping 2 miles per hour. It's barely moving here. What's up, Quack Attack? Good to see ya. Joe says, any update on the system going through the South USA? So this stream right here is mostly for the tropics, so we're going to keep it on the tropics. But we'll talk about it tomorrow. Or later today. I do plan on doing some coverage for the U.S. because we do have a bit of a severe weather threat, tornado-wise, tomorrow. or later today. So I will go over it then. Just remind me. I'm not sure when I'm going to go live, but we're going to keep everything just on the tropics for this stream here. Just going to be focusing on Melissa. So anyways, so timing with this storm here. So if we actually hop back over here to this program. So it looks like the system's really going to start picking up some strength right around the 25th. That's actually when we're expecting to become a hurricane here, kind of sometime in the morning of the 25th. We are going to be seeing sustained winds of right around 75 miles per hour right around then for the morning of the 25th, gusting right around 90 or so, category 1. But then from their point forward, that's where we're really going to be picking up a lot of strength here, in which, we're actually going to be seeing the system rapidly developing into a major hurricane here. And, the Hurricane Center even has category 4 by the time we approach the evening of the 27th here. Sustained winds of right around 130, gusting upwards to right around 160 by the time that we do approach the evening of the 27th. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and just the way that everything's going, I would not be surprised if the storm has a shot at becoming a category 5. Reason being is because, like I said, there's not a whole lot that's holding this system back, from becoming a really, really nasty storm here. So anyways, but yeah, hopping back to the models here, you can see the spaghetti models still all over the place. I mean, there's still a lot of uncertainty here with that. Now, in terms of the intensity, you can see this is the main hurricane models as well. But you can see here, down in time, we are expecting, rapid development with the system. The middle ground, has the system, easily getting into, major hurricane status here, in the extended range. A couple of models as we're going to be looking at here does show it possibly Cat 4, Cat 5. Hurricane Center, once again, has already told us about, like I said, has already basically told us about, possibility of becoming pretty, possibly a major category 4, category 5 storm. So let's actually dive into those models here. We're going to take a look at Melissa. So looking at the HWRF here overall, we work our way down in time. This is the latest 18 UTC. It's not until we approach the 25th, really, which is right here, that we really start picking up in some strength here overall. As you can see, rapidly developing into a major hurricane. And you can see this is right here. This is Haiti. This over here is Jamaica. So, according to HWRF, it just kind of squeezes right between Haiti and Jamaica and works its way up there towards Cuba, possibly getting down into the 930 millibar range, which that's very low. That is a very, very strong storm. Looking at the infrared view, you can just see, what the future infrared satellite could look like. So, definitely have to keep an eye out there for it. Let's see here. Sean says, is Melissa going to be a category 4? Yeah, so Hurricane Center already has it at category 4 strength here, getting Cat 4 on the right around the evening of the 27th here. So, yeah. See, Carrot says, wouldn't be surprised if this experiences extremely fast intensification when compared to what's even expected. Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, given the environment that it's heading in, there is, right now we have a little bit of upper level wind shear that's kind of preventing the storm from really, really kicking off pretty crazily. That's why we really haven't seen a whole lot of improvement in terms of strength over the last couple of assessments, is because of that upper level wind shear here. I can actually bring up the satellite for you guys again. So if you look at it, if you look closely, you can actually see some of that winds or some of that air moving to the east here. So some of those winds are actually kind of preventing the storm from really picking off right now. But yeah, I mean, given time, would not be surprised if the system does really pick up in terms of strength here. And there's really not a whole lot that's going to be holding this system back. And first of all, the waters out there are still very, very warm. I mean, the waters that the storm is in right now is 30 degrees Celsius waters, which I believe is right around 87 degrees Fahrenheit. Very, very hot waters. There's a lot of heat that will be, absorbed into the system. So, that's not going to be an issue. Obviously, the system is moving very slow and it's almost stationary, which is telling us, there's really not a whole lot of wind shear. We have a little bit of upper level like I was talking about right now. But in the forecast, that does appear to go away, within the next 24 hours or so. So that is, yeah, a little bit concerning. So eventually that'll kind of subside as well. Um, and then, of course, in terms of the moisture, there's plenty amount of moisture that's still going to be pretty much visible or available, I should say. Overall. So you're actually, I'll go ahead and bring that up for you guys as well. 700 to 300 millibar humidity. All that blue is all that moisture we have, and there's going to be plenty amount of it out there by Central America, which is just going to get drawn into the storm here. So moisture is not going to be really an issue. By the way, this is GFS. GFS is a global model, which they tend to have a little bit more harder times, focusing on, systems like this. That's why it's, kind of good to look at the hurricane models. They're more in depth here, because they're more focused on the hurricane and not necessarily, just the overall weather as, global models are. So, but yeah, I mean, you can see still plentiful amount of moisture here, indicated in the blue. It doesn't look like we're going to have a lot of dry air getting into the storm anytime soon. So, that's just another thing that's just going to allow the system to really, kick off pretty strong. Here, let me go ahead and go to the comments here. CH says, is it getting stronger? So right now it's kind of sustaining itself. Like I mentioned, it's kind of battling some upper level wind shear right now. We have a little bit of upper level wind shear. It's, not the most healthy of storms right now. I mean, it's definitely convecting pretty good. I mean, we got a lot of heavy thunderstorm activity still within the storm. But there is a little bit of upper level wind shear, which is, preventing the system from fully organizing right now. So yeah, that is what we're looking at, in which, that's going to subside, though, over the next couple of days. Over the next 1 to 2 days, that wind shear upper level will start to subside, which should allow the system to really get its structure organized, in which we will likely see that. And, at that point in time, there's going to be little to no wind shear influence. As well as pretty much, like I said, all the warmth in the waters there is, 30 degrees Celsius, that's not an issue. So anyways, that is that. Is there any models taking it to the Texas coast? No, there's not. Yeah, the U.S. does not need to worry about this storm right now. The only areas that I'm really concerned about is Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, and the Bahamas. Those are the main areas I'm mostly concerned about right now. So, right now, obviously, we do have watches in effect for Jamaica. These are actually tropical storm watches. And, like I mentioned, would not be surprised if those eventually get upgraded to hurricane watches, given the latest trend in the models here. And Haiti still has hurricane watches. So, those are in effect here for Haiti, hurricane watches on the southern side, tropical storm watches in effect for Jamaica, in which, those are in effect as of right now. Now, given those are watches, it means, those conditions are possible. So for the tropical storm watch in the yellow, tropical storm conditions possible. So start preparing for it. Make sure you have enough bottled water, enough food, and put it all in your safe spot. It would not hurt to start preparing if you're across some of these regions here. But anyways, so we'll have to just really watch out for that. But yeah, Haiti, southern Haiti, Jamaica, it would not hurt to start preparing for it there overall. So anyways, what's up, Evil Twin? Good to see ya. Hope you're doing good. What's up, Andrew? Good to see you. What's up, Starboy? Let's see here. But anyways, but yeah, so we'll definitely be watching this here pretty closely. And once again, the latest, the strength on the storm right now, it's 50 mile an hour sustained. It isn't anything significant right now. It's still kind of a lower mid-level tropical storm. But, like I said, once that upper level wind shear subsides, then the storm will really start picking up in terms of structure and strength overall. But yeah, maximum sustained winds 50 right now, moving west at a whopping 2 miles an hour. It's moving extremely slow. There's not a whole lot of, air current really moving it around. It's pretty slow right now. So anyways, diving back into the models here, here's the HWRF here. As you can see, looking at the HWRF, we have ourselves, gradual strengthening is expected. over the next day or so, probably not going to see anything significant, in terms of changes here. However, as we continue to work our way further down in time, right around the 24th, late 24th going into 25th, that's likely when we're going to really start picking up strength because, at that point in time, that's when we're going to really start to, all that upper level wind shear is going to really start to subside for the most part. So, HWRF has a system kind of squeezing right between Jamaica. So here's Jamaica right here. And then, of course, you got Haiti over here. So it just kind of squeezes right between Jamaica and Haiti, showing that pressure getting down into the lower 940s, upper 930s. Which that would definitely be well into major hurricane status. Possibly around this time, according to this model, right around Category 4. So we'll have to see what happens. But remember, don't take this model too serious because, there's a lot of other models that show completely different outcomes. So remember, there's still a lot of uncertainty with that. So, don't expect this to be the exact scenario because it could still obviously change between now and then. But anyways, so yeah, HWRF has a system just kind of squeezing right between, that's why I'm just saying, we really need to start preparing if you're in Jamaica, Haiti, Cuba even, honestly, should really start watching the system very closely there overall. Now, moving on to the HMON, this is another model here. So the HMON is another hurricane model. So we work way down in time, and, similar to the HWRF, it's not really until we approach pretty much right around the 25th that the system really picks up in strength. As you can see, this is a much different outcome. This actually has the system going just south of Jamaica. So here's Jamaica. Actually has a system just to the south of Jamaica overall, in which, still the strength would be relatively the same, just rapid strengthening is expected. This model actually has it getting down into the 920 millibar range. And like I said, there's just really not a whole lot that's limiting the storm from just really exploding in strength. Plentiful amount of moisture, really, really hot oceanic surface temperatures, and, like no wind shear that it's going to be running into later down in the forecast, which, that's just going to be pretty much full throttle the whole way. In which, that's why this system is really concerning, is because, it's across a lot of these islands out here. And it's just, there's really not much holding it back. That's what's the most concerning here out of this system. I mean, looking at the moisture, you could see, all the blue, this represents moisture throughout the atmosphere. There's like no dry air. Except for like the eye, but that's just typical. The eye is pretty clear usually. So that's no limitations at all for moisture. And of course, like we mentioned, the water's out there just super, super warm, 30 degrees Celsius overall. So very, very, very warm waters out there too. So anyway, so that's the HMON. HAFSA. Yeah, so we have a new run coming through, but we'll hop back to the 18 UTC, that one that's actually done. In terms of, everything with this model, once again, right around the 25th is when we really start picking up a strength here. We really start to pick up some strength. Now, this model is extremely aggressive. And actually has a system also kind of just going south of Jamaica here. So the HWRF has it kind of going up this way. The last one we looked at kind of has it going this way as well, the HMON. And HAFSA kind of agrees on this as well, just kind of going a little bit south of Jamaica. But the strength of this, look at this, the pressure according to this model could get down into the lower 900 millibar range. Like this is showing 902, 903 millibars, which is extremely low. That would be, given the winds and stuff like that, if we look at it, this is showing maximum winds of right around 145 knots. So that would be a Category 5 at that point. Definitely a significant storm here according to HFSA. These models have been pretty darn aggressive, but, like I mentioned, I don't blame them because of, the limitations that are really not going to be in place. So, the fact that there's not going to be much limitations to, the system strengthening and, sustaining its strength, it's just, full gas, like I said, full throttle the whole way. Now, in terms of the HAFSB, not as significant as HFSA, but still not nice. Showing that pressure down into the lower 940s, upper 930s. So still a very significant storm, likely category 3, category 4 here. So yeah, really, really strong. Once again, moisture will not be an issue. A lot of the models don't show moisture being an issue. There's an abundance of moisture over Central America that the storm's going to kind of pick up from, kind of pull from. So that is that. What's up, Binksy? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Samuel? Hope you're doing good. Samuel, there's no way of knowing if it's going to come to the Gulf right now. Yeah, there's no guidance right now that really suggests it would. Matter of fact, here, let's hop back to the hurricane models. So this is over the next 5 days, y'all. So this is what the hurricane models are suggesting, and you can just see they're literally all over the place. You got some models that have the system pulling to the north here and kind of squeezing right between, Jamaica and Haiti. That's what the HWRF kind of suggested here. Squeezing right between, but then you got a lot of guidance kind of having it pull north a little bit, then pull to the west. But just look at the spread here. I mean, the spread is just enormous. There is a lot of uncertainty still with where the system is going to go. But if you look closely, towards the end, the later part of the forecast, a lot of models eventually have the system kind of pulling to the northeast. And that's actually because we have another frontal storm system coming down from the southeastern United States. Another cold front could actually kind of grab a hold of the storm and shoot it up to the northeast, which, that could be a really big problem for, steering the storm closer into land, possibly out there by Cuba, even the Bahamas. It could allow for the system to track over those areas, which, that's not going to really be beneficial. I mean, for the United States, it would be beneficial because it would probably dodge us, but that means it would be a big problem for some of these other areas, like Cuba and the Bahamas. So, that's what I'm saying. I really need the Bahamas to watch this too. Same thing with Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti. I mean, these areas really need to watch. The Cayman Islands here too really have got to be watching this system here very, very, very closely overall. So anyways, but that's that. So in terms of the strength, once again, these are the same models. This is the hurricane models. This is just plotted on a strength map here. And you can see, I mean, throughout the next 48 hours, so this is, forecast hour, from when the models were ran, so 12 hours, for 24 hours or whatnot. So you can see 24 hours to 48 hours. So basically between now and 48 hours, you can see there's little to no change in strength. Majority of models just kind of have it maintaining strength. And the reason is because, like I mentioned, it's kind of battling a little bit of upper level wind shear, which is preventing the system from really kind of kicking off here. But it's not until after that 48-hour margin until we really start to pick up a lot of strength here overall, in which, you can actually see the models really have the system growing in terms of strength here, in pretty much that 3+ day margin overall. So, like we mentioned, it's not really going to be until like the 25th or so until we really start picking up a lot of strength here overall. And you can see, rapid strengthening from a lot of these models is expected. Once again, major hurricane status is expected at this point in time, and all that. So anyway, so that's the hurricane models. Now looking at the ensembles from GFS, you can see, there's still a lot of unknown. Some of the models have the system kind of going to the east here. Some of them have it going to the west here. And then, of course, we do have some of the models that go right between the two and kind of, eventually shoot their way to the northeast, with that frontal system coming down from the United States southeast coast, which, like I said, could allow for the system to eventually steer away from the U.S., kind of protecting us. So anyways, so that's that. Now, in terms of the GEPS, this is another model here. Or another set of members here, in which, kind of suggests relatively the same thing, although a little bit further west, as you can kind of tell, having majority of the members work their way westward and eventually kind of pull to the northeast here as, that cold front kind of rolls through. In which, once again, that would be a big problem for areas like Cuba, because, that would kind of steer the storm into Cuba, and possibly even like the Bahamas as well, which, could be a massive problem, for those areas out there. So that's why it's very important that we start preparing for the system here, across Cuba, across Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Haiti. Bahamas really need to really need to watch this thing, really closely. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to start prepping if you're in the Bahamas, but like I mentioned, it's still a little too far out to be for sure. So we'll just have to see what happens with it. But we do need you guys on high alert out there. And then, of course, hopping back over here to the official forecast here from the Hurricane Center, once again, Jamaica, we do have tropical storm watches in effect. Would not be surprised if that does get upgraded to hurricane watches. As we, are seeing more and more support of the system getting a little bit closer to the Jamaica as, before these watches were issued, or after these watches, I should say, were issued. Now, Jamaica, like I said, tropical storm watches are in effect, so start preparing. Because we have watches in effect here, that means, tropical storm conditions possible. Once again, I would not even be surprised if hurricane conditions are possible. Depends on how close it gets. I mean, you guys are in the cone, so Jamaica needs to start preparing for it. Haiti, we actually have hurricane watches in effect for southern Haiti here. We need to start preparing for that as well. Just make sure you guys have plenty enough food and water, and just please be careful, y'all. Because it's definitely a very concerning storm. Given the fact that there's really not any limitations to the storm picking up strength here overall. So anyway, so here's the storm right now. You can just see it's a bunch of convection. It's just a lot of thunderstorm activity here. I mean, it is a tropical storm right now. It is sustained at 50 miles an hour. Movement only moving west, I believe. I think it was west at 2 miles per hour. Yep, west at 2 miles an hour. So, I mean, it's barely moving right now, but like I said, it is dealing with a little bit of upper level winds. If you look closely, you can actually see some of those winds going to the east here. If you look real closely, you can see some of that air moving eastward. So that's actually kind of preventing the system from really picking up a lot of strength right now. And the reason is because it's kind of disrupting the organization, the structure of the system. While the storm is trying to, structurally set itself up for hurricane mode, these winds are kind of helping prevent against it. However, the problem is that these winds eventually are going to be dying out within the next 24 to 48 hours. Which, that's the point in which once those are gone, the system is going to be full gas. Like I said, full throttle for strengthening. So we definitely need to watch out there for that here. Let's see here. Will Melissa enter the Gulf? So right now there's not a lot of guidance suggesting that it will. Honestly, right now I wouldn't say it's unlikely, which it kind of is unlikely, honestly, at this point in time. But just be aware, things can change. I mean, because that is the extended range. I mean, even the short range, there's so much uncertainty with the system, that it's no different for the long range, because there's just a big amount of uncertainty here. I mean, once again, the next few days, I mean, where the system goes, it's just, there's so much uncertainty. So we just got to watch it real closely. Hopefully we'll start to get some more data and, more models and stuff like that. But in terms of, in the hurricane hunters and stuff like that, hopefully they'll be flying into it soon. That'll actually enable us to get some more data on the system. Them flying around the environment and through the environment and collecting data, flight level and surface, will really help the models. Hopefully kind of give them a little bit of a boost. To kind of get things going here. But anyways, can I check shear in the models? Yeah, I can do that. Here, let's pull up GFS. We'll look down in the Western Atlantic. Looks like somebody dropped a bowl of spaghetti. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much here. So here's the wind shear. You can see right now, I mean, we are definitely dealing with a bit of wind shear. At the current point in time, there's a little bit of wind shear, but the system eventually is going to be likely pulling to the west into an environment where there's a little bit less wind shear. I just noticed you probably can't tell. Once again, this is the GFS model. GFS has a totally different outcome than some of these other models here. I don't think ECM. Oh yeah, Euro actually shows it. Yeah, so you can actually see Euro. Showing that system just below all of this heavy wind shear. We have a pretty strong jet going over like Florida and whatnot. If I grab a sounding, you can actually see a lot of that's upper level winds here. You can see these 65 knot wind barbs. I mean, that's pretty high up. That's like, several thousand feet up. I mean, this is like top atmosphere stuff. But yeah, I mean, there is definitely some wind shear. But, the majority of the models has this thing kind of just under this big conveyor belt of wind shear, which is, really going to kind of allow the system just to kind of sit down there and pick up some strength here overall. Let's see here. For me, I'm guessing Melissa will be pushed into the Atlantic due to a cold front coming in. Yeah, I mean that's the most likely scenario. Yeah, I mean a lot of models do actually eventually pick up on that. As you can see, here's the members from the GEFS. It has the system just kind of working its way westward and then getting pulled to the northeast, because of that frontal system coming through, which, kind of pick the storm up and take it far to the northeast. But like I said, that would be a big problem because it would, allow for pretty much there to be, a lot of impacts for these Caribbean islands overall. So definitely is a bit concerning here. Let's see here. K-Poppy, thank you so much for the support, my friend. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the flower. That is really, really nice of you. Thank you so much for that. That means a lot. Helps out a ton. So big thank you, K-Poppy. If y'all could, please give him a big thank you in the chat. I really appreciate it. Helps us out a ton. And just want to say thank you. That's really nice of you. Here's some more model support. This is the GEPS. I think we're looking at the other model. I don't even remember now. Yeah, we were looking at the GEFS. Now we're looking at the GPS. So, yeah, I mean, in the long range, I mean, you could see 160 plus hours out. Yeah, eventually the storm could, shift its way to the northeast. A couple models have it towards Florida, but I wouldn't count on it. More than likely, it's just going to kind of go with the middle track right around in here. But just remember, there's a lot of unknown with it. There is still a lot of uncertainty in the track and everything, in terms of how far west it goes, how far north it goes. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of unknowns here currently. So I don't think we have any, oh, you know what? Actually, we have look at this. Apparently, actually, we have hurricane hunters in the storm right now. Here we go. So here's surface winds here. It looks like we peaked right around 50 knots. Ooh. You know what? So that would actually indicate that the storm might be a little stronger than 50 mile an hour sustained. So it's probably closer to 55 or 60 right now. But let's see here. But that's actually after they were towards the center. So here's actually the their pressure is all over the place. Yeah, look at the temperature drop in flight level. That's crazy. Anyways, but yeah, definitely that's good because we'll start to get some more data and stuff like that from the from the hurricane hunters and stuff. Here's some drop SON data showing pretty saturated SONs here, meaning that there's a lot of moisture. Here's some of the eye soundings that they have here. Very interesting. You can see there's a little bit more of a gap between your dew point line and your temperature line here overall. So definitely very interesting. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of moisture involved. But yeah, they actually, it looks like they took out of Aruba. I'm pretty sure that's Aruba that they took out of, which is interesting. But that's actually good because that'll give us some more data. Hopefully, it will give a little bit of a boost to the models per se. So that'll definitely be good. Can you talk about the updates for the cold front coming to Texas on Friday and Saturday? I mean, yeah, I can briefly talk about it. I don't want to bring it up too much, because like I said, we're mostly focusing on the tropics in this stream. Tomorrow, actually, we're going to be doing some coverage, so we'll definitely talk about it more then. We're doing some actually severe weather coverage later today, I should say. So we'll be live for that. So in terms of that frontal system kind of coming through, I mean, you can see here, this is it. I mean, it's a little low that kind of develops in the, central southern plains here, kicks up, and eventually works its way here to the east, which, depending on the timing with Melissa and whatnot, could definitely help steer the system out, overall. And then, of course, we'll be having another area of high pressure building in right around right around Halloween, which, from the way it looks here, I mean, this is extended range, so keep that in mind, but it could look pretty clear for a lot of us here for Halloween, which is good with that high pressure advancing. The last several models have been talking about this, last several runs of GFS, but I mean, Halloween's still a week or so away, so there could still be a bit of changes between now and then, but we'll keep an eye on it. We'll definitely keep an eye on it overall, but all right, everybody. Well, it's getting a little bit late. I just wanted to hop on here for a little bit, give you guys a bit of an update. If y'all enjoyed it, leave a like. Consider hitting that subscribe button. It'll be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, first of all, welcome. Just thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. But yeah, tomorrow we'll give you guys some more updates here on the tropics. We'll make sure to get you all up to date with everything going on here. And if you guys could share the channel too, just to help spread awareness, to help spread the word, it would be greatly appreciated. Could be life-saving as well. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for the support as well. And once again, K-Poppy, thank you so much for the flower earlier. I really appreciate it. Alrighty, everybody. Well, thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and we'll see you guys later on. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.